Welcome to Every Mom is an Athlete, the podcast where we believe motherhood is inherently athletic. From lifting car seats to chasing toddlers, your daily life is a workout. I'm Dr. Karlie, pregnancy and postpartum expert, sports chiropractor, strength coach, and mom of 3. This is your space for strength, recovery, and real talk in pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. Welcome, Strong Moms. You're in the right place. Welcome back, Strong Moms. Today I get to introduce you to Dr. Rosi Abitbol. She is a mom of 3, family medical doctor, and pre- and postnatal coach who's on a mission to help women prioritize themselves even in the busiest seasons of motherhood. She aims to make health simple, even if it's not always easy. Exercising right and managing stress really isn't about abs, it's about longevity, and that's what she wants most for her patients and clients. I found Dr. Rosi online, and I've just loved following her journey as she's built this online presence. She is helping so many women. So with that, please welcome Dr. Rosi. All right. Welcome back, Strong Moms. I am so excited to introduce you to Dr. Rosi today. Dr. Rosi and I met quote unquote online. We have some of the same sort of mentors. And so we just connected, and I just like fangirl and geek out on all her content. So I'm excited to interview her today, ask you some questions, have you just help us all understand women's health and wellness and fitness and all kinds of fun stuff. So why don't we start off? Just will you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me on here, Karlie. It means a lot. I am primarily a mom of 3 little boys under 6 years old. My background is a bachelor's of physical therapy degree. So my knowledge around fitness and wellness kind of started there. Then I became a medical doctor. So I'm a family physician for the past 7 years. And I've been sharing content online about how to get healthy and strong, specifically postpartum, over the past, I would say 5 years, but really consistently the past 2 to 3 years. So through my platform, namely Instagram.
I love that. Obviously it's changing, and I don't want to make generalizations, but I just find like the information I see from medical doctors is so different from the information that you generally share. So I just love that you are kind of like attacking it from, health and wellness from both sides.
So I totally do. I think what I bring together really is like the evidence base, but also experience. And I think so many doctors, A, are not females to have experienced what we experience, which is very unique to us. And B, don't speak from a place of experience because they don't know it. Some, whether man or woman, have not been through it themselves. So I definitely, after having at least my first child, like woke up to all these realizations that just weren't there. Even if I was counseling patients, it was from a place of like textbook information and not real life info. So the evidence and the experience really meet together.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so happy to see, for all social media's like negative things we can say about it, it's like bringing more awareness to people like you that like, okay, there is a more holistic way to look at things, and there are people out there that are sharing it and that you can work with to like have some guidance around some of these things. So tell me a little bit about that in your practice. I'm so curious, so you're in your practice, like doing family medicine. What was the shift for you when you're like, okay, this is not the thing?
So it's crazy. When I like literally was in residency, I started to film my first videos online because I was like, there are so many more people that need to learn the basics of health than one-on-one people in my office. And initially it was kind of like seen, and this is, 2018, doctors not really very much online sharing, talking, let alone in sports clothes and not a white coat. And so it was bizarro. But for me, I just felt like I needed to talk about it. I'm like, no, you can get stronger and healthier and like fight many, cases of depression, let's say, with fitness and nutrition. Not all, but I'm saying like so much could be prevented or treated if you actually address it with lifestyle approaches. So from the get-go, I was very passionate about lifestyle medicine. And then after having a kid and my second kid, I was like, yo, women really need to hear and feel so much more. And I'd see patients in clinic who were struggling with XYZ problems, whether it was gestational diabetes, pre-diabetes, mild, moderate depression, just adjustment disorder after having kids. And we'd see it as like, doctors tend to fix that with one tool, or multifactorial, like here's a referral to A, B, and C, and women can't access all that. And I'm like, I could do so much more just sharing and teaching online through nutrition, fitness, the lifestyle approach, mindset, than I can in a one-on-one kind of approach in an office with 20 minutes and one prescription to give and leave with. I don't feel like I've done my complete job, whereas I almost can reach more people and heal better online, which sounds crazy, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
It's just like a wild world,
I
right? I
studied for 10 years. Like the data is there, but what you can accomplish in one office visit versus online is very different.
Yeah, totally. You know what? You mentioned one thing there that I'm curious about. I always just wondered about this. When you were in family practice, one thing I find that a lot of medical doctors don't talk about, and again, this is like totally off script, but did you talk about alcohol with your patients? Because I find that that's one thing that a lot of medical doctors don't address as far as like depression and anxiety. And like a lot of women don't know that. Can you like just touch on that for a few minutes?
So I think doctors only tend to touch on like the alcohol consumption when it's a problem, right? So when someone has like an abuse disorder, an addiction, or it's extreme and it's actually affecting their liver and we already have abnormal blood test results, like I don't wait to get there. When I do an intake and I do, your medical history, part of the questionnaire is how much alcohol do you consume on a weekly or monthly basis? And obviously anything is too much, but I never expect anyone to do anything in extremes. Like if you drink to say zero, stop drinking is not realistic. But I mean, I always address it and obviously advise to like consume consciously and cautiously and less is better because any alcohol has negative impact. But also there's a culture component to that, right? Like if you're in Europe or if you drink casually, not for the, goal of actually being, getting drunk, it's very different versus in a social setting. So yeah, we address it for sure. And it is part of like a health marker because it's lifestyle habits, right? Like what are you consuming and how much of it?
Yeah. I just find that that's one thing that like I've made a conscious effort. Obviously, I'm not a medical doctor, but I do a pretty thorough intake with my patients and I'm working with all pregnant postpartum women, and so we talk about like depression and anxiety and like postpartum symptoms and like I just find that's one thing that I just wanted to mention because I want women to hear that like those symptoms, anxiety, depression are all
Are
worsened
worse and it's a
by
depressant.
alcohol. Yeah.
Alcohol is a depressant.
Yeah,
So
right.
like, yeah, if you're already struggling, like don't add fuel to the fire. Totally agree.
I know. That's definitely not what we're here to talk about. But there we go. There's my little soapbox. I sucked you in. So let's talk about how you started working, like are you still seeing patients, I guess is what I want to say. I know that you're developing like all kinds of cool stuff for women. We'll get into that, but what does that look like for you right now?
So right now I'm taking a break from clinical practice, one, to focus on this online business and two, to really be present for my three very young kids. It occurred to me quickly that the practice that I was doing and following for the past 6 years, whatever, was just not aligned with my life right now. I cannot be as present there as I am, for thousands of patients for my three kids in this season of life. And things happen. I was going to do like a smaller practice, but go private. And that was like not an option here where I live, which sucked. But then I just saw it as like, okay, this is a reason and like a sign to pivot to what you've been wanting to do for a long time, which is really create a membership for women. And so
That's
that's what
so
I'm doing.
cool.
Yeah, for now. I mean, medicine is going to be there. So I'm creating a membership. It's through an app, online fitness. You could call it a fitness platform because I guess people like one word, but there's fitness, nutrition, right? People love simple for prenatal, postpartum, and beyond. So it's really about helping women build strength, lose fat if necessary, and making it a habit through simple approaches, right? So you can track your food if you want it. There's accountability, which is one of the main ingredients that people miss. Even when I see people in like a clinic setting and I'm like, you need to start doing A, B, and C, having like a partner hand in hand, like we all know, if you've got a gym buddy or if you have someone to keep you accountable with on your journey of whatever it is, even if it's just doing push-ups, it helps a lot. So that was a key thing for me. And there's going to be the accountability chat group in there. There's going to be coaching with me every month. I'll be available to ask questions, helping everyone kind of stay on track and really like fuel off each other, not just off of me, but off of one another's progress, transformations. The goal is to really make a community that is strong, that is, has similar aligned values, and that's going to see results with a sustainable approach, nothing extreme, built from evidence and experience. That's what I'm building.
I love that. I'm so excited. I know I've been watching you online, like start, teasing it. It's so fun. Just a quick second for my pregnant mamas now. During my third pregnancy at almost 40 years old, I had my easiest labor and fastest recovery, and I honestly credit that to doing my Prego Core program. Prego Core is a doctor-designed, by me, week-by-week plan that helps you stay strong, reduce pain, and prepare your body for birth, all in just 10 minutes a day. It works great on its own, or you can add it to your current workout regimen. If you want to train smarter through pregnancy and make recovery even smoother, head to the link below to check out Prego Core. And use the code ATHLETE for a special discount as a listener of Every Mom is an Athlete. Talk about a little bit, we're talking about this community, about questions moms have. Let's just talk about some of the myths maybe that you might dispel, right? Or might address in this community. Like, what are some of the things you hear over and over that we can just like clear up for some moms out there?
Right. So the idea of like a routine doesn't exist for moms. And I think once women get rid of that, like need, obsession, fixation, they fall into like their best selves. When they feel like they're not achieving their best self because they're not whatever society has created for them, they're not reaching that potential. You let go of the idea of routine and you just focus on not just survival, but like doing your best every day with what you have. And every day looks different for moms, but drop the idea of routines and stick to what is the least I can do today. I think that's like a big myth, I guess. The idea that like we should be working 1 hour a day, working out an hour a day, just like that's not realistic. And I've really gotten to the best shape of my life after kids with 30 minutes a day. So I think the idea of like you need to do more, it's actually you need to like pedal back, but do it more intentionally is huge. And for moms, when we have to optimize our time all the time, I think that's an important lesson. What else is a myth? That moms could get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I don't think that's realistic for especially postpartum moms. We don't function at the same capacity of everyone else. We actually function at a higher capacity because we do a lot more with a lot less. But again, it's adjusting our expectations. I think that's the hugest part.
Did you see there was a study that came out online? I was just looking through it about, and I'm going to like probably grossly misquote this. It basically was saying that like moms are the equivalent of like their sleep habits, and the fight or flight that they're constantly in is the same as soldiers in battle. And it's not just like something to say. It was like actually a study, right? And I was like, that is so crazy to think about, but it's true, right?
It's
Like,
true.
yeah, I think I don't know, I hear that a lot too, right? Like, you get this idea of like, I have to like get dressed and work out, and this is my hour or whatever of time. And I'm like, girl, you don't even have to put a bra on. Go like do some squats in the living room,
Literally, or just
like,
dance with your kids or like
yeah.
do what you can today, period. And I think like that holds a lot of women back thinking like, "Ugh, I can't do it perfectly or I can't do it there or I can't do it like her. I'm just not going to do it. It's just not worth it." Right. Which is wrong.
Which is, yeah, completely false, right? Like every little bit of movement.
Counts. It all adds up. It's like small investments, small investments. Like if you put $5 in an investment account a week versus zero, it'll add up by the end of the year. Maybe not as exponentially as you hope it would, but still in a meaningful way.
Yeah. What along those lines, just talking about sort of things moms can do, like those little wins, right? Where do you like women to start? Like, moms are feeling so much pressure. I think, again, online, we're like, this girl's doing this facial routine and this girl's doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, please. Like, like that's not real. Again, it's not realistic for moms always. So where do you like moms to just start with like switching up some healthy habits?
So I always say like protein forward meal, right? So I say veggies first, protein forward. And what is that? It sounds so basic and almost like repetitively annoying. But the truth is, if you fuel yourself adequately, your energy will be better. You'll feel more satiated and stronger, and like your habits start to build. So it sounds like a bare minimum. It sounds like a very basic thing, but the bare minimum is literally just starting, even if it's just the first meal of your day. You're not perfect every day, all week, forever. But if the first meal of your day could be protein forward, 20 to 30 grams of protein is a great place to start. And fiber rich fruits and veggies is literally just what I'm talking about. You're already fueling yourself and kind of setting up your day for success. That's like one major thing, but women kind of neglect because we leftovers from our kids, we skip meals, we survive off coffee. And I'm pro coffee, but I also want you to nourish yourself.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that's a great one. What other things?
So when it comes to movement and sleep, so it's really like the pillars, right? Like nourishing yourself, moving adequately in this. So what is moving adequately? Depends on the season you're in. When I'm like fresh postpartum, a walk is more for my mental health than for anything else. But literally the most I can ask for myself, and the ROI on that, like the return on investment on a 10, 20, 30-minute walk is huge in that first postpartum year. I'm just saying of life. It could also be huge when you're 4 years postpartum or 10, but taking a walk. If you're like, oh, I already have some kind of movement into my routine, can you add one strength training session a week? One. Can you add 10 push-ups 3 nights a week? Like just literally starting with baby steps, but doing the baby steps consistently is what I always recommend. So my best bang for your buck, I always mention like resistance training, mobility for your joints. That's it, and getting steps in. I never put the pressure of like 10K steps a day. Like, what is that? There's not even good science at all to back that up. It's like based on some marketing nonsense 100 years ago, but could you walk somewhat more? Can you take the stairs? Can you park further at the grocery store? Can you get a walking pad if you do have a sitting desk job? So again, just like these incremental moves that over a year, over the long term, which we don't like to see that because everyone wants immediate outcomes, is going to pay off.
I know that's the hard thing is you and I and lots of people, right, know that consistency is the king, right? Or queen or whatever. But like It's not sexy, right? It's not sexy to like make these small changes and like,
Prevention isn't sexy, right? Like none of it is.
yeah, I think, it's funny that recently not to be a downer, but my dog passed away recently.
Oh,
And
I'm
I
sorry.
know it's horrible. If anyone, it's like the worst thing I've like ever been through, honestly. But it was interesting, like a lot of things I've noticed. One, I have swept my floor more than I ever have in my life. I did not realize how much food my dog ate off the floor. But two, which is relevant to this conversation, is I have always been like, I don't understand how people don't get out for a walk. It's so simple. Go for a walk, blah, blah, blah. And now that my dog is not here, I have walked less than I ever have in the last, and so it's just that reminder of like, you don't go for a walk. Like I was going for a walk for my dog, like my dog needs a walk, right? Like he needs to go. But now that he's not here, I have cut that out a lot because I'm like, I could be doing this. I could be doing that. I could be like working. I could be doing the dishes. I could be like, and so it's like just remembering like just a small example of like, no, like you need to go for a walk because you need to go for a walk. And so now I understand a little bit. I'm always grateful when things like this happen to me because I'm like, now I understand better someone who maybe doesn't have a dog when they're like, I can't get out for a walk. It's so, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I get it a little better now.
Everything gets prioritized over bundling up and going for a 15-minute walk when it's just 15 minutes. But
Yeah, because
yes,
like, oh, 15 minutes, what's that going to do? Well, actually, studies would show a lot, right? Like for your mental, emotional, physical.
yes, exactly. Cardiovascular, totally, totally. The benefits are there, but it takes like deciding it's important and then just committing to it, whatever movement habit you choose to adopt.
Yes, 100%. So tell me how you juggle all this with these three little boys. Talk a little bit about that. That's wild. I got one girl out of the deal. So I have three kids under 6 also, 2 boys and then a little surprise girl. So, but yeah, tell me how you manage all this.
I love it. So you know as well as I know, there's like balance doesn't really exist. It's just doing the most with the least with what you have. But seriously, if I could be like the most honest, first of all, like seeing people who do it with way more kids than me, like surviving and even thriving, I'm like, okay, if you can do it, why not me? Okay, that's like a big thing. I had that shift when I met friends who had like literally like 8 and 6 kids, and I'm like, and I'm like, okay, like what's 3, right? So everything's always relative. And honestly, I live for life. I'm a liver. Like every day I wake up, I'm like, this day rocks. I know it sounds extreme, and I've had my lows, but 90% of the time, like I've always kind of been that person. So I just make the most with what I have, which sounds like very vague and not like constructive for anybody. But the bottom line, your kids are a blessing. The opportunity to move is a blessing. Nourishing yourself is like fuel for the soul. I just see everything as like lucky me. Like I've been injured, so I've been able not been able to do things for long periods of time, which gives perspective. And I'm like, that sucked. My mental health went down. Like everything was challenged when I can't move. So when I get to move, whether it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it's like, yay, win. For the kids, you got to go with the flow. Like kids will challenge you in different ways, like mentally, emotionally, physically, time wise. Everyone has different needs at different seasons. Kind of like they are the priority, as you know. So kids first and everything else second. But you need to mesh in those other priorities around your kids, right? And that often means late night work. That often means earlier mornings. So adjusting to the season you're at is how I've balanced. And every season looked differently. First baby, second, now third. Everything looks different. But yeah, firm believer with like, get ready to adapt. Nothing lasts the same way forever. Like no season looks the same consistently.
I think that's one thing I see with new moms versus, I mean, like, right, like babies attune to their moms, right? So I see with new moms, like more anxious babies, more anxious moms, like, and I look back at my experience too, and it's the same. And then you see these moms who are like on their third, fourth, whatever kid, and they're like, the babies are so chill. And I'm like, yeah, because the mom is like, whatever, like, here's what yeah. And the
You'll
other thing
survive.
is, yeah, and the other thing is they know everything's a phase, right? Like I think with that first baby, so often you get wrapped up in like, I can't live like this forever. Da da da. It's like, well, yeah, you're not gonna live like this forever. You're gonna live like this for probably like another week, and then like, oh, who knows what's gonna happen?
But hindsight is 2020, right? So once you've experienced it, you know that it's all temporary. So it takes going through it to know what to expect. And you can't teach experience. But yeah, I'm as organized as I can be. I literally plan. So here's a more tactical answer. My tomorrow is always planned the night before. Literally 9 out of 10 days, I have a list of what my high priority thing to do for the next day. I think it's the better answer for people. Things that I can prepare, I do. Basic food, not a whole meal prep, but like food preps, cleaning veggies, making one protein a week, boiling eggs will save me time throughout the week and save my health because I've thought about it, a little bit early on. Small things.
Yeah, I love your nutrition stuff that you post because it's so like you guys will have to follow her and see some of this great stuff, but it's like it looks so good. Like I'm like, "Oh, that's like what I eat," but mine doesn't look that nice or like look that delicious. Mine's like, I don't know, like slopped on it. You just like it's so beautiful.
Thanks, thanks. And I think when it's more appealing, people are more likely to want to make it.
Totally. And there's like little things I think that you throw in that are like make a big difference, like microgreens or like beets or you know what I mean? Something that's like, oh, that like really like fancies it up and like
Elevates the meal.
yeah, and like also adds some great nutritional value, but it's like, oh, that makes I don't know, that makes all the difference. So I love that. I appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about obviously we're kind of talking about general health and wellness, how moms can really benefit, right? And like really like be their best selves. So what's some of the stuff online that like you think women should understand better or like you wish women could understand better, different, wellness principles?
So I would say that resistance training and exercise overall is not for physique, is not for changing your scale, is not only for these like very short-term vision outcomes, it is really for metabolic health, bone health, hormone health. When you think of exercise that way and stop obsessing over, is it going to change the scale? Are my arms going to be more toned after this workout? And you say, holy crap, is my menopause experience going to be a bit better? Is my risk of fracture at 55-year-old going to be less? Is my, risk of pre-diabetes and diabetes going to go down because of this or gestational diabetes? And the answer is yes. Then their willingness to do it. But that's not sexy marketing and that's not what people want to hear. But what I wish people understood is that like literally exercise and resistance training overall is for those outcomes. Your mental health, is it going to be better if you decide to? Absolutely, right? There's all the stats are there. Your overall mortality improves even if with one resistance training session a week. Like it takes very little to have huge benefits. So yeah, I wish people understood that more. Obviously cutting out things like smoking and alcohol. And I don't think our audience like has that much consumption issues. Maybe they do. And if you are and you do and you're listening to this, then yeah, limiting and cutting that stuff out will give you so much benefit and longevity. I wish people understood that. I wish people understood that any exercise really isn't about the scale and that weight loss postpartum is very, very different from weight loss at any other time of your life. And physiology plays a much bigger role than your discipline or motivation. When we blame our discipline and motivation, we fall into this trap of like, I'm not doing enough. I'm so disappointed. But when you realize that your body needs so many more calories postpartum, that your healing takes time and tissue repair takes time and requires more protein. When you realize these things about your physiology, you give yourself grace. You're more patient with yourself. You understand that you're not like everyone else and like slashing calories is not the answer also, specifically postpartum. If anything, you need to add calories, just smarter calories, more nutrient dense calories, lack of sleep, right? All these things literally affect your hormone and your food balance and your like hunger cues. Sorry. I wish people understood that better so that they didn't have this pressure of like postpartum glow up, whatever you want to call it, like 9 months, 6 months, whatever the timeline is. Everyone's got a different timeline for how they're going to look, but how they look doesn't also reflect how they feel. A woman might like lose weight easier because that's just her literal physiology, her biology. That doesn't mean she's feeling better than anybody else who's maybe 30 pounds heavier. That's like a big one.
Yeah, every time because I really try to drive this home for women that like you're gonna hold on to weight when especially if you're breastfeeding, right? Like that is
Yes. And people
physiological.
think the opposite. They're like,
It's
breastfeed to
crazy.
lose weight. I'm like, what do you mean?
I
Your
know,
body
like
needs
who?
calories.
And every time I'll post that like just to just to sort of like, hey, I want people to know. But then there's always a few women that will come out like the weight fell off. I'm like, great. This post isn't for you then. Like, and also, did the weight really fall off or were you actually nourishing your body? Like we could get all into that, right? But like, I just love women to know. I love the way that you said that. Like, it's physiological. And so there's nothing you can do better than give yourself grace because it's going to happen the way it happens. And for some women, that's faster. For some, it's slower. For some, it happens fast and it shouldn't have happened fast and they feel horrible, So it's like,
Exactly. You kind of crash. So just like literally, if you can like fuel yourself the way it needs with sleep, and sometimes that's just sleep. My first few months postpartum, like even though I do like pelvic floor rehab, like I do the basic I can a day because it's already a habit for me. It's not new. Some people are like, how come you're able to exercise by 4 weeks postpartum? I've been doing this for over a decade, like almost 2 decades. So understand that everyone's your point C, someone else's point A, like just don't compare. But also what I really prioritized was sleep. I would have reckless nights for sure, but I literally, people like sleep when baby sleeps, and it's an annoying thing to hear. Even if it was a 15-minute power nap and that changed the course of my day, I did it. My baby was sleeping next to me on a swing and I'd be on the carpet just crashing out. And I felt better after that. I wasn't depending on coffee. And I knew I had the energy for my kids when they'd come home from school. So like legit sleep and stress management, huge that first year postpartum. And it won't happen at night.
Yeah, it's whenever you can get it. There's one thing you said too, is just that comparison game. And I just want to point out that like, especially with multiple births, you have to remember you also can't compare, right? Like you can't compare postpartum 1 to postpartum 2 to for your own self. Because I found myself doing that this third birth when I was almost 40 years old, right? And I'm like, oh, like even though I freaking preach online, you're going to hold on to 10 extra pounds. And then I'm like, oh, but I fit into these jeans after my first and second babies, and then I would catch myself, right? And like take a step back.
Totally. But like, even you did that. So imagine everybody else.
I know. And so it's like, you have to not only not compare yourself to everyone else, but like you can't compare yourself to the previous version of you, because baby number 1 to number 2 to number 3 to number however many, it's going to be different, right?
Totally. There could be like a decade in between the two. Why would you expect yourself to recover the same way you did 10 years ago, 10 years younger? Like, it's just not the case.
I know in my practice, when I have, now I'm getting older, right? So I have like young moms coming in, and I live in Seattle, right? So the average birth, like age of moms is much older here, but I'll still have like 25-year-old moms coming in. I'm like, oh, you heal so fast. I'm like, oh, look at that. Like your diastasis is completely closed. Like, with like, we did like 3 exercises for, and then like people like me, I'm like, all right, let's go. We got some work to do.
We got to load this crevice. Yeah, I know. It's true. It is so true. I see the same thing. I also train women. So I have a home gym. And so I have like a few exclusive clients because I love doing it. And a few times a week. And it's mostly postpartum moms, whether they're like 10 kids postpartum or like 2 or 3. And the ones who are in their young, early 20s, I see it and I'm like, yo, this is impressive. But I'm like, yeah, but the body is much quicker at healing early on.
Yeah. And that's physiology, right? Like that's not like, that's so nothing they're doing. That? Yeah.
Literally doing nothing.
Yeah. Literally, they're just being 25.
Like they're just breathing. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I love it so much. Okay, Dr. Rosi, I know you and I could talk for hours and hours and it would be so fun, but no one wants to hear that. So if you could leave our wonderful strong moms with just one takeaway today, I mean, I think you've given us so many great things already, but is there anything else you want to leave moms with?
I think when you're a mom, if you could focus on what you did get done versus what you didn't get done that day, that would help you so much more. Instead of saying like, I didn't manage to do blah, blah, blah. If you did manage to feed all your kids, get into breakfast before noon, and move for 10 minutes, like you've done the most. So just focus on what you did do versus what you didn't do. And I think that's helpful.
Oh, that is really great advice. Yes, let's all do that. And will you please tell us where everyone can find you and all the deets?
So I am at Dr. Rosi, Rosi on Instagram. That's my main platform. I will welcome you into my community. I will, chatty in the DMs. I'm very open when I get to them, but I'm super I love actually connecting with people. Everything there about weight loss, nutrition, and sustainable fitness for really busy moms, but any woman. I mean, I always say let's get strong as a mother, but I think any woman would be honored and privileged to get strong like a mother. So it applies to all women and can't wait to have you part of my community.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. Every Mom is an Athlete isn't just a podcast. It's a reminder that you're still the athlete you've always been. If this episode resonated with you, I'd so appreciate it if you'd share with a friend or leave a quick review. It helps more moms find the support and information they need. See you next time.